Hi, welcome back, everybody. This is Linda's Investing. My name is Lindsay, and today I bring you another guest from my community, and this is Mikey. He's a fellow investor, and I will let him introduce himself.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay, for having me on. Really appreciate it. I live in Hawaii and I started with the fire movement like you. I was really aggressively trying to save money and trying to think of ways I could reach financial freedom sooner. The W-2 was getting to me, and I just felt I had more energy to spend on other things than my job. And I was kind of stuck in this cycle where I was trying to escape reality on the weekends by partying, but that got old real quick. So I really got serious on getting my finances right, getting my investing right. But as I started doing the Roths, the brokerages, the 401ks, I just thought it would take so long to get to that $1 million mark, and it was just looking at a different barrel through a gun, and I didn't like that. So I started listening to Bigger Pockets. But Bigger Pockets, they'll have great interviews, but the subject matter will change from week to week. So in a way, it's like a shiny object syndrome through a podcast where, okay, there's this land deals available, or there's these other options available. And I could never really get focused on one type of investing. And that's when I started seeing Mark's channel. He's a firefighter in Hawaii, financial firefighter. Please like, subscribe, and follow his channel. I gotta say that. And if once I reached out to him, he contacted me that day and we had a talk and we were going through things, different options I could look through. And that's when I decided to settle in on Pittsburgh. Currently have three single family homes, made a lot of mistakes, and I'm trying to navigate through that right now, just trying to get my bearings right. And that's why it's great having people like you who are kind of going through the same out of state property management, investing, learning through different strategies. So really looking forward just to talking more and understanding where we're both coming from.
Wow, thank you, Mikey, for all that information. I think we have a lot of similarities in our journey coming from investing in retirement account, like a Roth IRA, like a 401k, and then finding one person that's already investing and kind of like talking to them and tagging along. I, in my journey, find Maskey Finance and Millennial Mike, and I ended up investing in the market like you did. Wow. That's great. Like, how did you? I understand like the bigger pockets. When I was listening in the beginning, like I also was like, this is a whole different language. I don't know what like tax sales, tax liens. I don't know what land development is, build to const like build to rent, and Airbnb arbitrage, and buy 1,000 units, and then the next episode, like, no, you can only retire with 2 units. You can make 10,000 each unit. How? Like, how are you finding these deals? So it's all a little bit, it's overwhelming. And I understand how you felt like that too. Like, oh, where do I start? What do I even do? And living in Hawaii, a high cost of living state, thinking like, well, if I'm going to invest here, I'm going to have some serious cash into it. And then you fall into the same kind of problem with investing for fire. Like you have to chip away every month. Every month you have to put away money that you cannot access until you're 59 years old, or invest little by little. And it gets tiring, right? It gets just like you're like it's 1 month and another month, and it's something about delayed gratification that you don't get any type of reward whatsoever, because years have to go by before you see any kind of progress. And that's what struck me about real estate investing. Like you can get higher returns than the market. And I'm not talking about day trading. I'm talking about just investing on, S&P 500 and something that is conservative for sure. But yes, so you found Mark. Mark is a fellow investor from that community that is also a firefighter, lives in Hawaii, and buys. properties in Pittsburgh. How did you end up coming to that decision of buying properties in Pittsburgh too?
It was through Mark's influence, and it was just something I wanted to, because like how Millennial Mike, he kind of hopped on the coattails of Mark, and it was Mark Maskey, and
Oh, okay.
I wanted to follow the same path where Mark, he kind of set up that same style, and he followed another investor who started in Pittsburgh from Hawaii, kind of used his systems and processes, got acclimated to that, and that's how he started to scale. But he warned me. He said, don't do what I did. Make sure you have your reserves in place. Make sure, and Lumberjack talks about this all the time, is slow and steady. He would much rather see us beginning, go slow and steady. All you need is one deal and then slowly build from that. So I don't know what it was about me, but I just rushed into things. I didn't do the type of prep work that I should have done. And that still haunts me to this day. So I'm still trying to fight those mistakes that I made. But when you get to that second one, and when you get to that third one, there's still going to be surprises. There's still going to be new learning experiences. That's what makes it so exciting. But you get a little bit better every time. And that's what I'm just trying to do.
Yeah. Let us take a picture of what your first deal looked like, what year it was, what interest you got, how much did you purchase it for, and what's kind of the preparation that you needed to do in order to score that deal.
Yeah, that was 130 purchase. The rate was 6.875. And I was going off the 1% rule. And we all know how bad of a mistake that was. Mark, he laid out the groundwork for me. He said, hey, follow one rental at a time. Follow Dion, follow Lumberjack, follow Millennial Mike. I didn't really get serious until I was in the deal. So I let more the property management, the realtor kind of lead me. And I didn't really understand all the legwork that's required on my end to actually get everything detailed, dig into everything and get it right so that at the end, because they always say you make money on the buy. And that's not what I did. So 1% rule, it's a good parameter if you're quickly doing your 20 minutes a day and you're looking at the MLS saying, okay, that looks interesting. I'll save that, dig more into it later. But not to just dive in on the 1% rule. You're better off using that as a guidance than getting your serious cash on cash based off of that as you're doing your detective work.
For people that don't know, the 1% rule is when you buy a property and you can rent it for 1% of the value. So if you buy a property for 100K, the 1% rule says that if you can rent that property for $1,000, then you're more likely cash flow. And what Mikey is telling us is that there's more than just looking at the 1% rule. It's an easy, quick deduction to make, but it's also a quick way to not foresee what taxes are going to cost, what insurance is going to cost, what kind of reserves you need to put away from the area. Is there going to rehab involved? What are the closing costs going to add to the percent rule? And so it's easy to like go into a property and then say like, oh, that rents for 1,300. If you bought it for 130, 1,300. Cool. Let's put an offer. Let's close the deal. Let's do it. But there's way more information that you need to get from the property before you lock it up in a deal. How is that property looking like to you now?
It it's just stringing along, and it's something where they talk about you're looking at your portfolio and there's stuff you just want to sell. That's what I'm looking at right now. I'm still trying to get guidance on that, understand what is the best path moving forward, but I'm holding it for now, waiting for maybe a better time to sell. And that's something I'm just reevaluating constantly, and it's always on my mind.
Okay. Okay. So
But
the one deal that you like locked up, but then you realize, oh wait, I need to think more about these deals, these properties I'm buying. So what is the second property taught you then?
the second property is Actually, taxes. Taxes play a big part in Pittsburgh, where in Allegheny, it's the three taxes you pay, the municipality, the school, and the county. And they all have different millage rates. Each area has different school millage rates, and that's the one that's going to get you the most because those are often the highest taxes that you pay. If you travel outside of Allegheny, the taxes are lower, the transfer taxes are lower as well. So when you're running cash on cash, those numbers tend to be more favorable to you. There's also things that play into it, but if we're talking about the 1% rule, this was more off the 2% rule where it was a purchase of 77 and renting for 900. And that's probably my best one so far where the tenant had just renewed for a 2-year lease, $50 increase. So it's just those small little wins and I'll take them all as I can get because it's so hard as we know during the 5 years of suck.
Yeah, and it's it takes time to know your market, right? For you to invest in Pittsburgh and then knowing that that boundary line from this city to one city, taxes change substantially. It's crazy. Like you need to spend time or like know somebody that's going to be there and let you know because it's not something that you think about it. Okay, municipality and estate and property tax on Pittsburgh. Like I got it. No, it's something that you're gonna learn. I have a story like similar to you in which I had my first property since I bought it. I cash flow and it cash flowed 7%. And then the city decided to vote for increase in taxes. So my tax liability went from like, I think something along the lines of yearly like 1,700 to 3,400. So it almost doubled. And not only because the property appraised higher according to the assessment, which it did. It does appraise higher, you know, I bought it under market price. So uh and they kicked in the referendum that added $500 to the tax bill. So it went from cash flowing 7% to cash flowing 3%. And I just had to withstand it. What am I gonna do? I can't, I'm in a lease with the tenant. Thankfully, the following year, I was able to increase the rent and make it back to 7% in a way. But it's still, there's some things that you cannot foresee. And this is something that went through the voting, right? So not only the property appraised for higher, there was a referendum that kicked in, and then now I'm out of cash flow. But that's why it's so important to have that metric of cash flow, yield of return, cash and cash return. Because if you, for example, were only counting, oh, my property is bringing me $300 in, and you're not as putting any money aside from repairs for capital expenditures from reserves, then all of the profit gets eaten away if you're just thinking I'm clearing $300. Well, no, now taxes went out. So now you're only clearing $50. So it's just things that you're gonna learn, lessons you're gonna learn while you continue to invest in real estate.
And real estate has broken my brain in a lot of different ways where I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I can just do my 401ks, my Roths, my brokerages. It's so easy because all you're doing is transferring money from one place to another with a click of the button. Real estate is so different. It's a different muscle. I learned this the hard way. You can't just click a button and it's gonna work out okay. It's so much time management, so much time educating, learning all the different aspects of each area you're investing in. They all have different rules and the age of the properties, and you're talking about trees and all these terracotta plumbing. Like, what is going on? So just taking all that in, trying to figure things out. I have also been naturally optimistic.
Mhm.
And I realize when we're running numbers, that won't help you. You got to be more pessimistic. You got to think of the worst case scenario, run your numbers off of that, because I will try to massage the numbers and say, oh, yeah, if it's at this, then this will happen, or this cash on cash. But then that was a mistake as well, where it's like I should have really thought what is the worst case scenario and run my numbers off of that. I'd probably be in a better place now.
Mhm. Yeah, it is because you get the calculator and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna do $200 after everything's paid. And then you realize like, well, no, what if this happened? What if that happens? What if I need to change all the locks? What if I need to change all the doors? What if that's already cash flow from the first month, right? And then you have to have reserves. And then I think that's something that our community stresses so much so that is like in our brain. I'm like, you better have 6 months of reserves before you even buy that property. And it's so good that we have that because I see everybody on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, whatever you go, like, just liquidate all of your savings and then buy this property. And then you're gonna cash flow like $500 per door. And then everything's gonna be like sunny and rainbows. And like, that's not what life is. It's not realistic. Sorry, I'm venting now, I guess.
So
But my next question is, how do you save for your deals? How do you fund your deals?
my W-2. So I when I was trying to figure out my finances and I really started to dial down on my Excel sheets, then I can save this much, and even with all the rental income that's coming in, that like how Dion talks about, you just funnel that towards the next deal, so that just kind of builds up for down payment and a high yield savings account, and that's what I try to do. Not doing the best way, but I'm just trying to make it work that way.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of discipline and a lot of routine. And I'm sure that in your state, everything's expensive, just like mine. Eggs are costing an arm and a leg. So saving that extra, whatever, $50, $100, skipping Starbucks every day it's just like disappointing, but at the same time you are belonging to a community that everybody's kind of on the same boat, and then everybody's like trying to save for the next deal, or trying to leverage somehow the equity that they have in their properties. And there's a sense of community, and it's a sense of like you're doing this for your future self and for your however you want to live your entire life. And however, I know that you have your girlfriend and you want to live in Japan, right? Which is very different from what we are used to, like thinking about our future.
That that is my number one goal, because it gets tiring over a while. She comes and visits. We have a great time, but it's always the goodbyes. That's the hardest part. And that just has this fire burning inside where it's like, oh, every time we say goodbye, it's so difficult. And it's like, how can we bridge that and kind of make it more where permanently we're living together, and just the cost of living. And when we look at all these type of things of well, medical, I'm a type 1 diabetic as well, so I have a lot of costs that I incur for medications. So it's like you see the universal healthcare and those type of things, that also is attractive. But yeah, it's something down on the horizon. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that.
Mhm. Yeah, awesome. So, Mikey, what was your biggest win since you started your real estate journey?
It was most likely the lease renewal.
Mhm.
Getting that for that second one, that was really encouraging, just to see, just to have that stability. But honestly, I gotta say, just the people in this community, because I have my Pittsburgh group, you got Jack and Steven, Oscar, Harrison, Lars, and Mark. And then on the other end, it's like my core group where I just started reaching out to people, and like Frank and Cynthia, Cody, Jason, Anna, and Michelle, and then just building off of that. And you went to the one rental at a time event in Vegas this year. I was unfortunately couldn't make it, but we talk about I enjoy my alone time, and I don't really like being surrounded by people. But that Vegas event, I don't mind, because I don't care for small talk. There's no small talk at the ORAD event. We're always talking about a high level discussions and getting real deep into thought, talking about different strategies. How can we help you reach financial freedom faster? When you're around that type of community, oh, it fires you up, and you really want to do your best, and it's inspiration for the next deal.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I've done most of my investing by myself, but just belonging to this community and having somebody to talk to about like every single thing that is going on my brain and like the problems that I'm facing or what to do. Like I'm trying to decide what's the next course of action, and just having that. that backup, I guess. Like if I fail, they're gonna be sorry for me, but they're gonna keep encouraging me. But if I succeed, they're just gonna cherish that, and then they're just gonna be happy for me. And then it's very unlike any other things that I've seen in any group, even friends, I would say, close friends to you. I don't know if you deal with the same thing. Like you start talking about real estate, and they're like, "Oh my God, here he goes again, or here she goes again, talking about something else."
It just doesn't click when we have those conversations, and I do feel the separation with more of my high school friends. That is different. I've never experienced something like that before, but it is true where you just change as a person. Before, I would not really be comfortable talking like on a live or not live, but a recorded recording like this, and just having all these conversations with insurance agents and lenders and realtors, property management. You do level up in a way. I can see from where I started to where I am now, it's helped me, and just being around all these people, getting inspired and influenced by them. It's like now I know a little bit more than I used to, and I take any sort of progress in stride because I've always had this feeling where, okay, I have a W-2, what can I do with the spare time? And this is a great place to put your time in because you can see results based on the work that you put in, which I love.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, next question. What's the biggest lesson you learn about yourself during this investing journey?
I would say just that's a really good question. I have to think about this. It it is not passive. If you even think it's passive, just throw it out the window, smash it into as many little tiny pieces as you can, because it's not true. It's gonna take a lot of time and effort, and there's gonna be really strong challenges that you have to face. But if you can withstand that and you still have interest in it, then that's a pretty good sign that you can withstand the 5 years of suck. It'll keep on coming in different ways, and it's so interesting because Dion, I was trying to tell him, every deal is different. There's new surprises that I'm not used to. I try to be as organized as I possibly can, put in as much prep work as I possibly can so I can be prepared. But I'm not. Every time there's something different, there's something new, and I'm still getting used to that. So I'm still trying to figure that out. But you really can't because Jason Pritchard was talking about you don't really know the path until you walk it. And where we look at the chessboard, we see all these pieces. It's like I want to understand the chessboard, but I don't. I'm still a pawn in the game. It's until I have to make those experiences possible and I have to walk the walk. That's when I think the path will be illuminated, like Pritchard talks about.
I think that's the closest analogy that I heard so far, that we're like the pawn and real estate is a chess game, but we don't know what's coming at us. Like, is it a horse? Is it the queen? Like, what is coming at us right now? We don't know. It could be anything really. And learning how to deal with the punches, if you were not used to that kind of environment, it feels like disorienting. Like, wait, here's my plan. Here's all the stuff I had to do. And you're telling me like something else is gonna be on top of it. And you're like, oh my God, again.
Yeah, it was so funny because that first Vegas event, we were having the midnight Denny's, and Justin Campbell was sitting across of us. And I think Cody had asked a question about his portfolio, and Canberra was saying, "Oh, you could do this or this or this," and he gave this laundry list of all these type of exit options. And probably I didn't see my reaction, but my eyes probably must have been so wide because I was like, "What is that? I've never heard of any of those type of thought process." So it's and it was feeling overwhelming that first year, but I try not to get too down on myself and just slowly take it and try to learn as much as I can and walk the path as I see it.
Yeah, and we're learning every day. Every day we go to a meeting or a Zoom call, you learn about something else that you never thought somebody's doing, like rent to lease, like co-living, rent by the room, college housing. You're like, wow, there's so many ways that you can use this real estate as opposed to like investing on stocks. Like you just pick a stock and then you buy it and then you wait for it to like pay you dividend or increase in value. That's basically it. Like that's the game there. And it's so easy, like you said, you just like click transact this information and then every month it will be the same. But that real estate, there's so many ways to make money with it, and there's so many ways to fail too and to succeed at the same time. And we're in the game, we're playing it.
I did want to ask, what does your number look like where they talk about the 2-3x multiplier for
Mhm.
your monthly cash flow? Where do you kind of see the ending for you?
Oh, the turning back of questions on me. I'm not sure. When I was doing fire, I thought 1.2 million was the end goal when I was doing fire, like to live off, to exist, I guess. Lean fire, if you call it. And then anything after that would be like pleasantly surprised, right? But with real estate, I see it as a more of like I have so many options. I'm not 100% sure that I'm gonna leave my W-2 or the type of work that I do completely. I do want to be able to live in different countries and learn new cultures and learn new languages. That's my, I guess, vision is for the future. I think working would be a part of me, maybe like 10 to 16 hours of the week. I think ideally that would be. And then for me, the number to exist right now, it costs me $5,000 a month without any type of luxury, without any type of like, let's go out to eat, let's go on a trip, let's go to a conference in Vegas. Like there's no pleasantries, right? Just existing. And so if I can have real estate cover that cost of living, then whatever I make on working would be pleasantries and luxuries. So like, taking my parents out on a trip, taking living in Mexico City for 3 months. Like it's just everything else would be up to me. And the sky is the limit, technically, on that sense. But I don't really have a very traditional view of generational wealth. I don't really think I'm planning for the children to take over or anything like that. I'm planning for myself and the family that I still have alive because I am an immigrant, and so I have to think about different things as well. I'm an immigrant. I have parents that are aging, they're older, they should be retired. They cannot retire because they won't be able to cover the expenses if they do retire. So that's when the children will kick in. So there's so many components in that answer that I'm not sure if I have a full just one liner said like I want $10,000 a month and then I'll be done.
Yeah, thanks for talking
I
about that.
Yeah, I see Dion. I see Dion's philosophy, the three Xer, right? That for him to his bills are $4,000 and he makes $20,000 a month and he's more than happy with that. And I totally understand that. Um, it would be nice, but I don't know if that would be the answer for me either.
Yeah, and we're such in different asset classes too, because his market and his rents versus out of state rents is all these different factors gotta take in and analyze.
Yeah, back to you. How
Yeah,
did how did you find a community one rental at a time or at?
through Mark, financial firefighter, and he always checks in on me and he says, "Hey, how are you doing? How's the process going? How's the hunting going?" And then you said, "Hey, did you see this on Daily Financial News?" I'm like, "What's that?" And he's like, "What?" He was about to slap me because if he said, "You gotta start watching that," and then that's when it really dialed in for me, where it's like, "Yeah, I really gotta get serious about this if I want to be even remotely have a chance at succeeding in this." So that's when I had to realize, take it on myself, put in the work, get Zuber's rules embedded, tattooed on my head, and just try to look at that in the mirror every day. And yeah, that's what I've been trying to implement right now.
Yeah. And what do you see yourself in like 5 years from now? 2030.
Just trying to stick to the blueprint that ORAT has set up. Just every deal, just funnel towards the next down payment. Try to do lumberjack style, try to optimize with the existing portfolio, slow and steady. I'm trying to work on the power of no more because I think I want to help and try to be a team player with your realtor and everything. But I think sometimes there's that gut feeling that you have, and you just have, you kind of know it in your core where you just want to say no. And that's the better move to make. That's something I'm trying to work on, trying to get better at. So that's another thing I'm reevaluating.
Mm, okay. Awesome. And are you gonna start your own YouTube channel, Mikey?
No, I'm gonna help. Yeah, I don't know if I really want to. I rather help Linda's investing. Please follow, like, and subscribe. Old guy REI, Jack's business talk, all the REI Avengers, financial firefighter. Follow all those guys because they're doing great. I love all their stuff. Watch it consistently. So just please follow them, and I just try to help out in the comments where I can.
Okay, okay. I think who was Mark who told me ask him about his YouTube channel.
I appreciate that though.
Yeah, I mean, we would like to see what you're doing in Pittsburgh. I feel like Mark um likes the community, Mark the financial firefighter, but he never talks about his deals. I don't know if this is like
No, he and I tell him, I joke with him, we're different investors. I'm way more into the numbers, and he's back of the napkin. Like he does his due diligence and everything, but he's just in a different phase than I'm in. I'm in just a very beginning growth mode, and he's like 5 years, I don't even know, longer maybe down the line, and he's kind of sitting pretty well right now, and he does the reverse house hacking, so he's got all these things going for him, and I think he's past that 5 years, so he's still helping me, which I appreciate a lot, but I we're just in different phases, so that's why I got all these different groups I can reach out to and talk, and we're kind of on that same level and can kind of go back and forth with.
yeah. And there is a group for Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, and that is directly through Jack's business talk.
Awesome, awesome. So anybody, if you're interested in investing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, then you can reach out to Mikey or Jack Business Talk, and then you'll be set.
Yeah, anyone can reach out anytime. Feel free. I always love talking real estate.
Okay, Mikey, then this is all the questions that I got for you today. Hopefully you'll come back on my channel and then we'll see how your journey is doing and what other stories you have for us.
Awesome. Yeah, anytime. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.